Welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have everyone here with us tonight. So I am going to be sharing my screen, which means I'll turn off my camera for the best view. However, we do have a whole crew of us here tonight to help answer questions as we kind of go along. Ms. Fleming will be doing some Q&A. So if you do have any questions, we request that you do put them in the Q&A part of the chat, and we will have an opportunity for questions at the end. Okay. All right, grade 8 families. We are so excited to be welcoming you to our Richardson family next year. We're going to begin this presentation with a little introduction from our principal, Mr. Maharaj. Then I will give an overview of the grade 9 program, and we also have a highlight video for you. And then we're going to end with the question and answer period. Okay, so I'd like to begin with the land acknowledgement. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. The Durham District School Board recognizes Indigenous rights are distinct. In the exercise of those rights, Indigenous staff and students shall not be subjected to actions with the aim or effect of depriving these distinct rights. The Durham District School Board is committed to learning environments that are safe, welcoming, respectful, equitable, accessible, inclusive, and free from discrimination while placing human rights and equity at the center. Okay, so the format for today, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Maharaj, and then I'll go over the overview with you, some highlight video, and the question and answer period. It's over to you, Mr. Maharaj.
Good evening, everyone. It's really nice to see you all here. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to our grade 8 Parent Guardian Information Night. I'm happy to virtually see so many parents and guardians here tonight, of course, our future Richardson Storm family. It's great to see parents and guardians that are actively involved in their child's education. I encourage you to maintain this involvement during the next 4 years. My name is Jeff Maharaj, and I'm the very proud principal here at J. Clark Richardson Collegiate. While we're unable to get together in person tonight, I really cherish this opportunity to speak to all of you about our school, the amazing education that your students or that your children are in store for. As far as planning goes, we are hopeful that the school will return to something very close to normal very soon. We're planning for September to be a normal school startup. Hopefully the pandemic will be in our collective rearview mirrors by then. While there will likely be a virtual option for students, we anticipate having all Richardson students take courses through Richardson offered for in-person learning. We also anticipate a full return to extracurricular activities. The pandemic has had a tremendous impact on all of us. Our goal at Richardson is to provide a safe and healthy learning environment that supports our students in the classroom as well as socially and emotionally. For some of you, this will be your first experience sending a child to Richardson, and for others, you're seasoned veterans. So before we get too far into the presentation, I did want to pause to say thank you to a few people that made tonight possible. And so the first people I'd like to recognize is the vice principals here at Richardson. And if they could please wave their hands when I do introduce them so that you can put a face to the name. The first vice principal is Ms. Torrente. Ms. Torrente will be the vice principal that is the contact person for students with their last names beginning with A to G. Ms. Walton. Ms. Walton will have students with last names organized from H to O. And last but not least, Ms. Neblett will have students with last names P to Z. So those are your vice principals. Those are your contact people when you have questions about things at school, and your students will get to know them quite well as they will help them with their transition to high school, as well as help them to be successful and advocate for them here at the school. I do want to thank our tech crew that made our video for tonight, which you'll see, and all the students that do make appearances and do some of the speaking in it. I want to thank them. And of course, I want to thank Ms. Fleming, if you can give us a wave. And our guidance staff, if Ms. Lamoureux you met before, Ms. Gray is blanked out, but she's here joining us for all the hard work they've put into not only getting tonight's presentation ready, but for all the behind the scenes organization that they're going to do to help your students make the transition from grade 8 into grade 9, moving up to high school. So thank you all for tonight, and thank you all for the things that you're going to do to make the next 4 years for everyone's student that's coming through here a success. So I'm going to start talking. If we can go to the next slide, please. There we go. I'm a little bit off my speech tonight. I've changed it a little bit, but that's okay. Variety is a spice of life. That's what they say. So when parents and guardians come to these events, some may be hoping to hear the secret to making their child successful in high school. To be honest, there's no secret. There's no one thing that I can tell you that's going to guarantee success. If I could, I would probably be selling books somewhere and I'd be a lot more wealthy than I am. But that's besides the point. So instead, I have a few simple suggestions that I'd like to give to our incoming students' parents. First of all, I want you to select courses that are appropriate for your child and select them with your child. Have conversations about the courses. Have conversations about where they want to see themselves 4 or 5 years from now when they finish high school. Our inclusive options for grade 9 include academic, de-streamed, locally developed, and small class placements. A little bit later on, I believe Ms. Lamoureux is going to get into the details about course selection, but you have to keep that in mind when you're doing it. Don't be afraid to challenge your child academically. Grade 9 is about exploring and getting to learn more about themselves in high school, so challenge them academically. Be sure to get advice from their grade 8 teachers. Your grade 8 teachers usually know your children well. They've been in the same school with them for a number of years, and so they'll have really good insight into what level that student should be taking when they're in high school. Please, as parents, encourage your children to be punctual and attend all their classes. Your child needs to be here in class to learn. Please don't drop them off late. Please don't pick them up early. Just make sure they're here at school in their classes learning as much as they possibly can. High school allows for great freedom. So we want to remind parents that students are able to leave the campus freely, but with great freedom comes great responsibility. Encourage your students that if they go out at lunchtime, they're still back on time for their classes and attending all their classes. I want you to encourage your students to get involved. The last 2 years, as far as schools go, has been pretty difficult. The pandemic has really limited what we've done in school outside of the classrooms. So high school is much more than just 4 classes per day. Challenge your student to become involved in at least one extracurricular activity. I find that students who are involved in school life outside of the classroom enjoy school more and get better results out of school. They do better academically. I want you to work with your students and talk to them about a growth mindset. If we can instill a growth mindset in our students, they will learn that even though they may not do super well in every single thing, it's always a learning opportunity. Teach them to learn from feedback from their failures and require them to always look for ways to improve in all aspects of life. Parent and guardian support continues throughout their high school years too. I know a lot of parents, when their student gets into high school, they're teenagers, they kind of take their hands off and let their students explore the world and try to figure it out for themselves, which is good in theory. However, they still need your guidance. They still need your help in order to be successful. Your child needs you even though they're in high school. Stay involved with them, get to know their teachers, get to know their friends. Be aware of important school dates like parent guardians night, report card dates, exam dates, or when we do go back to having exams. Get involved with our school community council. I'm going to tell you, and I guarantee this of you, if you join our school community council, I will never ask you to fundraise and I'll never ask you to volunteer. What I will do is give you information about the school. We like to talk to parents. Parents get to ask questions and try to figure out what's happening with their kids here in high school. That's how we run our school community council. It is not a fundraising society. It is all about keeping parents involved and keeping parents aware of what's going on at school. Each day when your child comes home, ask them how school went. How was their day? And don't accept a one-word answer from them. Encourage them to engage in a conversation about what they learned and what kind of challenges they're facing so that you can support them in getting through all of that. I want you to encourage good habits when it comes to sleeping and eating. A lot of students, when they get to high school, want to stay up all night, playing games, talking to their friends online, whatever it is, and eat junk food, if they eat at all. As parents, we have to encourage good habits. They need to get to bed at a certain time. They need to eat healthy foods. It's too hard to be successful in high school if you're tired and hungry all the time. So we've been working really hard to ease the transition to high school for your sons and daughters. But of course, it's been a challenge during the pandemic. Grade 8 students have had virtual visits from our guidance staff. At that time, they're introduced to the course selection process and had the opportunity to ask specific questions. Our grade 8 teachers have been trained by our staff to support families to complete the course selection process and high school registration. During the summer months, you're all going to get a welcome note from the school. Most likely it's going to be an email to every grade 9 student. And this letter is going to provide information about the first day of class for our grade 9 students in September. This is going to be a special day where only grade 9 students will be here. They'll get a chance to be introduced to the school, talk to their teachers, find their classes, and become part of our Richardson family. So while we're unable to host students and parents for tours this year, we've produced a very comprehensive virtual tour and department highlight videos, which you're going to get to look at later on in our presentation. I'm sure a lot of you have come with several questions and are very curious about what to expect when your child comes to high school. Our hope is that our speakers will be able to answer the majority of your questions by the end of the presentation. But if not, staff will be answering questions throughout tonight's program. And at the end, if you use the question and answer feature here in Zoom. If you look down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see some icons. One of them says Q&A. If you click on that, you can go in there and type in a question that you have for us. If you ask your question in there, we'll do our best to answer it. Our answer may be give us a call at the school. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But if you generalized questions, we're going to answer in there. If questions are specific to your child, it's probably best if you get in contact with the guidance office or one of the vice principals later on to get your answer to your question. So we have lots of information to cover tonight. So I'm going to turn things back over to the guidance team and their presentations for the rest of the evening. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to get here tonight and to be a part of our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Maharaj. I'm now going to begin with an overview of the grade 9 program. Before I begin, I just want to take a look at the guidance and student success team that we have at Richardson. So there is myself, Ms. Lamoureux, we have Ms. Fleming, who's here with us tonight, and we also have 2 other counselors, Mrs. Gray and Ms. Pearson. So we are here to support with personal counseling, anything that's going on at home or extra supports that way. Of course, academic counseling, so anything to do with courses and help with that. And of course, career counseling, which we will do from year to year and looking at their individual pathway plans. We also have a student success teacher, Ms. Dagger, and you might also know Ms. Harrington, who is the transition pathway counselor, and she's been visiting with the grade 8 classes. Okay, we're now going to move on to an overview of the grade 9 program. So over the past few years, key resources and programs have been developed to support student success and their families in planning for their transition to secondary school. So across the Durham District School Board, this transition initiative is called Choosing My Success. So the key student success beliefs are all students can be successful, success comes in many forms, and there are many paths to success. Choosing My Success is about ensuring all grade 8 students are supported through the course selection process for high school in order to make thoughtful decisions while setting high expectations to reach their potential. And the Choosing My Success is just our approach to student transition planning from grade 8 to grade 9. So we recognize that education directly influences students' life chances and outcomes, and have focused our direction for intentional transition planning to secondary school across the entire system for our grade 8s and for their families. So one of the ways that we support this is through de-streaming. So de-streaming is the process of stopping the harmful practices of forcing students and families to select single pathways for their secondary education. So in June 2020, the Ministry of Education announced that they would be offering de-streamed grade 9 math to start dismantling systemic racism as the first step in de-streaming the system. In September 2022, the entire grade 9 program is de-streamed, okay? So this is what we're going to be entering into. So by these means and by through including de-streaming, the DDSB has created an inclusive grade 9 program. So the entire program is kind of done this way. Okay. So to reflect this commitment to ensure that the DDSB grade 8 students transitioning to grade 9 will make thoughtful course selection choices that are reflective of their commitment to the success in both secondary school and beyond, every grade 8 student and their families will be receiving our revised and rebranded DDSB Student Transition Guide to help them navigate their planning and preparation for transition from elementary to secondary. The Choosing My Success Transition Guide is provided to all of our grade 8 students, but it is also available online on the Durham District School Board website. So de-streaming began this year with the grade 9 math program. The Ministry of Education informed school boards that we're going to be implementing a new de-stream science course beginning in the 2022-2023 school year. So you can see the course codes here, MTH1W and SNC1W. These are our inclusive ministry de-streamed math and science. So the other compulsory grade 9 courses are inclusive academic English, inclusive academic geography, and inclusive academic French. So basically by delaying the requirement for students and families to choose post-secondary destination pathways, even by just 1 year to grade 10, would provide more time to make informed choices and support all of our students with achieving their goals. Okay, so in addition to the compulsory courses students have to take, we also have open courses in the disciplines that you see here. So we've got the arts, business studies, health and physical education, social science and humanities, and technological education. So open courses comprise a set of expectations that are appropriate for all students. And I'm going to go over a little bit later on with you what some of the options would be for next year. We also have our inclusive grade 9 locally developed course options in math, English, and science. Okay, so knowing that not every student will be ready for all the grade 9 courses right away, we do have locally developed curriculum to support students through that process to meet expectations of the grade 9 courses and support credit accumulation. The pathway for students who are working towards a certificate of accomplishment remains the same, focusing on supporting the growth of fundamental skills, independence, and self-care. Okay, so what are the next steps? So we know some of the changes that they have made since previous years. This is what the next steps would kind of look like between families, their grade 8 teachers, the pathway counselors. So complete the individual pathway plan, or the IPP as we call it, through My Blueprint alongside grade 8 teachers and pathway counselors. Okay, so individual pathway plan would be looking at yourself, knowing who you are, and being able to make decisions and choices about your future based on what you already know. Also reading the Choosing My Success Student Transition Guide. Okay, so this guide would be giving you some helpful information on how to make the decisions that would best fit you and have a successful transition into grade 9. Discuss the career life planning process, and I'll talk about some of these things a little later on in the presentation. This is also found in the transition guide. Review the pre-populated course planning tool. You will receive this planning tool from grade 8 teachers and review this in order to make good decisions. And of course, discuss the reflection questions and the pre-populated course planning tool with your child. So a lot of this has to do with getting all the information that you need and then having some open discussions and asking questions. And finally, select courses through Course Planner in My Blueprint. So that is the very final step. There's a lot that can be done in between. All right, families interested in learning more about the rationale behind Choosing My Success are encouraged to look at the CMS overview document, and this is also located on the DDSB website. Students will be receiving this information from their grade 8 teachers and pathway counselors, so it would also include this revised transitions document for all grade 8 students. All right, so this is the Choosing My Success planning tool for all grade 8 students that I had mentioned. It's an individual pre-populated course planning tool. It's provided to grade 8s. It would contain EQAO data, marks from their grade 7 June report card, grade 8 attendance information, and their grade 8 progress report learning skills. So just a whole bunch of information about your student. Students are encouraged to review the information with their family as they complete the course selection process. So taking a look, reviewing it, discussing it before you even think about selecting courses. This document will be sent to the parent or guardian email that is on file. So whichever email address that you have connected to your parent portal. Once you receive the email, you will access this document the same way you accessed your student report card. And the pre-populated course planning tool will be emailed to families before course selection processes begin. So all elementary principals will also be provided with a copy so that they can also help to support students and families during the course of this selection process. So it's a really helpful tool and kind of neat to kind of take a look at the progress up until that point. There is also the career life planning model that you have here. So although the pre-populated course planning tool from the last slide contains reflection questions to assist students as they select courses, they're also encouraged to use something like this, a career life planning inquiry, to ask questions about themselves. So who am I? What are my opportunities? What do I want to become? And what is my plan for achieving my goals? These are 4 questions that we continue to ask as we go through our years of high school. So when the grade 9s are completing their IPP, they go through these questions once again, and then in grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. So this information will be included on the back of that pre-populated planning tool. And this is one that we get lots of questions about. So what you need to earn your OSSD or your Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So you do require 30 credits in total. 18 of those credits are compulsory and 12 are elective. You need 40 hours of community involvement. You need completion of the literacy requirement. And most recently added, it is 2 online learning credits to meet graduation. Okay, so on the right side there in that orangey yellow box, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 things. Now for the online learning credits, this might not always be the best platform for students to learn. There will be more information to come, but you will have an opportunity to opt out of that as well. Okay, so the grade 9 program itself, you will have, your student will be taking 6 compulsory courses and 2 electives. So they will be taking 8 courses at a time, 4 in semester 1 and 4 in semester 2. So these are the grade 9 compulsory courses that they must take. So we've got our Canadian geography, English, French, and then we've got science and math down there. They have been de-streamed. And then of course, health and physical education. Both mostly offered at the academic and locally developed levels. As far as elective courses go, these are some of the disciplines that we have available at our school: the arts, business, social science and humanities, health and physical education, and technological education. So we did review some of these options with the students when we did our visits in December. So what this would look like would be students selecting 3 courses for their electives. So we want them to select the 2 that they really, really want, plus 1 alternate in the event that maybe one of them doesn't have enough enrollment and it doesn't run. So all elective courses are offered at the open level only. And open level simply means 1 set of expectations for each subject that are appropriate for all students. Okay, so let's talk about some of the elective courses that we have available. I'll start with the arts. So the 4 top options are for music are guitar, instrumental, vocal, and electronic music. If music is not the art of choice, they could choose visual arts. They could choose drama or drama production. And then at the very bottom, we have music theater performance. This is a 2-credit elective, which means they'd have to select both of those as their electives if they are interested in that. Now, art being a compulsory course, we are strongly recommending that students complete their art credit in grade 9. There's far more options in grade 9 for arts than there are as you go up through the years. Potentially this could be done in grade 10, but our strongest recommendation is that they select one in grade 9. Okay, we also have a business option in grade 9. It is BTT 101, Information and Communication Technology in Business, where they would explore software applications, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Our social science option is Exploring Family Studies, HIF 101. Students can learn skills like getting along better with their friends and family, eating healthy, improving communication skills, spending money wisely, dealing with peer pressure, and so on. We also have an additional elective in health and physical education. We have rhythm and movement, PAR 104. This would have a variety of dance forms, including ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop, cultural and folk, and creative. Now, since gym is a required course, we also offer this in addition for any students who would like to take an additional course in this discipline for females only or those who identify as female. Our tech option would be, we actually have 2 tech options in grade 9, Exploring Hospitality and Tourism, TFJ 101, and Exploring Technologies, Design and Communication. So for the Hospitality and Tourism course, they would learn things like food preparation, food handling, event planning, local tourism, and origins of food. In the other tech option, it is Design and Communication. So communication technology, design, using 3D printers, etc. For more information about our courses, course offerings, even some videos that have been created by various departments along the school, we encourage all students to join this Google Classroom that we've created for them. Welcome to Richardson grade 8s. Most of you actually have joined the Google Classroom, which is great. All of these resources are going to be posted on there. And the good thing about our Google Classrooms is they kind of follow our students along the year. So this is our grade 8 classroom right now. Next year, it will be called the grade 9 classroom. They don't have to rejoin, and all the information for grade 9 will be posted to them there, and then so on with grade 10 and grade 11. And this is a picture of what the Google Classroom looks like. So you can see we can post something, any important announcements right there. We can have meet links if there's an important presentation that they would like to join in on, and so on. Okay, so once we get to course selection, they will be selecting courses online using My Blueprint. So this is My Blueprint website. All the information for My Blueprint is on our Google Classroom, how to log in, and any other information about My Blueprint or, troubleshooting in that respect. And when thinking about courses for next year, a few things to consider would be obviously asking their grade 8 teachers for suggestions. They've done this so many times. They're a great resource for all of our students to talk to them and ask questions and just kind of reflect and talk things through. Reflect personally and just kind of knowing yourself as much as you can, as well as talking with your child. So just having open conversations and seeing where our interests lie and where our strengths are can really help when you're thinking about courses for next year. Okay, so leading up to grade 9 day in September 2022, we've done our grade 8 visits in December, where the counselors have visited students in their elementary schools. Tonight for our parent guardian information session with counselors, our school administrators, and hopefully an opportunity to ask questions at the end. And then in May, our student government often organizes activities and videos for our incoming students. And that it is our hope that students will be able to recognize at least one caring adult in the building, and the adults in the building will also be able to welcome and recognize them. We're just hoping to make for a seamless transition into high school and just really setting students up for success, knowing where to go for help, knowing where to go when to ask questions, and so on. Another great way to do this is getting ready for high school program. So every August, the DDSB runs Getting Ready for High School program. It's a 4-day program. It provides an introduction to grade 9 math and English, while also teaching and reinforcing the importance of good study and homework skills and time management. So to learn more about this program or to register, it will be on DCE website. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Again, we will be posting this presentation if you want to reference it again on our Google Classroom. But on the DCE website is where you can register for that. So some additional student supports. Of course, the guidance department is here to help students and support along the way, whether it's academic or personal, what have you, or even to just kind of lead you in the right direction of what you are looking for. We also have student success supports. So we have a whole student success room. We have a teacher, Miss Degger, who does wonderful things in that room, just supporting our students who need a little bit extra in terms of academic help, or they can kind of use her room during class time if they need a quieter space to work. And of course, we have our Inclusive Student Services Department. So this was formerly known as Special Education, so now called Inclusive Student Services. This is Mr. Brine. He is the head of Inclusive Student Services. His phone number and extension are on there, as well as the room number where students can go and receive help in that way as well. As far as new registrations go, if you are part of the family of schools, if you are already slotted to be coming to Richardson, you don't need to go through this process. If you're viewing this presentation and you are going to be a new registration to the school, you would have to go to the Richardson website for registration instructions. All of our registrations are handled by our guidance secretary, Ms. Poole. That's her email there down below, but you can find that on our website as well, and you can reach out to her about registration. Of course, we always encourage you to follow us on social media if we post any important information. Or as I said to the students when we were doing some visits back in December, it's a great way to kind of get an idea of what the school's all about, some of the things that we're doing, pictures from different classes so you can get a feel for what those classes are all about. So we have our Instagram and we have Twitter at JCR Storm. So you should definitely check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about our school. Okay, and we also have a short video here for you. I'm going to try and play it, and this will just be a little bit of an overview of Richardson and some of the different departments.
Hello, and welcome to J. Clark Richardson.
Assalamualaikum. Ciao Mang. Bienvenido.
खुश आमदी.
स्वागत है.
Wagwanan.
Vanakkam.
Namaste.
Bienvenue.
At Richardson, we commit to making everyone feel like they matter and that their voice is heard.
We learn about each other and celebrate every identity.
We strive to build a welcoming environment that pushes all to succeed both in and out of school.
At J. Clark Richardson, we offer a variety of programs for our students. Computer engineering, computer science, and robotics are programs that provide students with the opportunity to learn coding skills, how to build analog and digital circuits, and so much more. Construction technology allows students in grades 10 to 12 the opportunity to design and build a project as unique as they are. Students are trained to operate and use tools and machinery using safety measures. Our athletic opportunities are far from none. We offer sports-specific classes to fitness and weight training, resistance training, a spin studio, and an official 400-meter track. Our programs also include mountain biking, yoga and Pilates, as well as rhythm and movement dance. Hairstyling and Aesthetics is a great hands-on program that provides students with practical skills and knowledge pertaining to the beauty industry. Students learn a variety of techniques while using the necessary tools and equipment. Hospitality and Tourism teaches students in grades 9 to 12 foundational knowledge in kitchen safety, sanitation, basic knife skills, and more. Students also learn how to read and understand recipes, including how to measure correctly as they prepare different items to challenge their skills. If social science is what interests you, students can take courses such as Exploring Family Studies, Fashion, Introductory to Anthropology, Psychology, and Sociology, Raising Healthy Children, and Human Development through the Lifespan. We also offer a wide variety of grade 11 and grade 12 courses, including Gender Studies, Black Studies, Equity Studies, and Indigenous Studies. Our Transportation Technology program offers students from grades 10 to 12 the opportunity to learn and further develop technical knowledge and skills related to the maintenance and repair of vehicles demanded by industry. Students also develop safety, communication, teamwork, and problem-solving skills. Lights, curtain, action. Welcome to Richardson Collegiate's musical theater program. Our musical theater cast and crew prepare and present some of Broadway's most famous titles. We offer opportunities for students to not only be center stage, but to be part of the backstage crew, to do set design as well as learn the business and technology side. Students get to be part of an engaging and fun learning experience. Communications technology can be taken in grades 10, 11, and 12. These broad-based courses cover a wide range of topics such as computer graphics, digital imaging, digital photography, audio editing, video production, interactive new media, and animation. You also learn to use a variety of software applications like Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, and After Effects. We are now also offering a new skateboarding design program, something you will definitely want to check out. Whether you have ever picked up a paintbrush or you have studied art for years, our visual arts courses provide exposure to a wide range of artistic experiences and opportunities using a multimedia approach. Students in grades 9 to 12 are offered courses which include painting, drawing, sculpture, printmaking, photography, yearbook creation, digital art, stage design, and art appreciation. Richardson's music department offers an extremely diverse musical experience for students in grades 9 to 12. Students have the opportunity to take courses in instrumental, including percussion, vocal, and guitar, both beginner to advanced. Students are also able to enroll and audition for the musical theater program and can take part of our pit band. In addition, new to Richardson is the digital music composition course, where students will learn how to compose music of their own. At J. Clark Richardson, we commit to providing students with opportunities where they can learn and thrive as individuals. We are dedicated to ensuring equitable practices throughout our school community. We build skill, we build confidence, and we build character.
Our strength lies in our differences, not our similarities. Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice.
No matter the creed, culture, race, religion, or gender, we all learn together.
We are the perfect storm.
Okay, I'm just going to switch the slide over. Hopefully you enjoyed that video to kind of get a taste of what Richardson has to offer. We have so much going on, so really excited to welcome your students to join us next year. The student government also wanted to create a welcome video for the grade 8s, so that one will be available soon on our grade 8 Google Classroom. We want to thank everyone for attending the information session this evening. You're now invited to participate in an optional question and answer period. So I think there have already been some questions and answers in the chat over here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. All righty. Just scrolling through all the hellos. Lots of friendly people here tonight.
Hi, Ms. Lammer. We have a lot of questions about My Blueprint. Can you explain how parents would get access to it?
So students would have access to My Blueprint using their DDSB login. So I would say that parents could log in with their student and they could actually look at all the course offerings right now that we do have available. So while course selection is not up yet, you can see what's in there, you can play around with it, and you can read about the different courses. You can even slot things in. I believe we can slot them in. It's just that they're not ready for selection quite yet. So the student would log in using their DDSB student account. You actually scroll down to the bottom of the screen for My Blueprint, and you would select Durham District School Board, and then you would log in with your credentials and you could play around. Okay, is there a list anywhere of what courses are required for an OSSD? Yep, that actually can also all be found on My Blueprint. So you can take a look, and actually there's a really great tracker on there as well. So after you finish grade 9, you can see, okay, I've completed these 8 courses. How many more do I have to do? You can see how many community service hours you have, and how you are on your way or on track towards graduation. In the transition guides as well, Choosing My Success, they also have the entire requirements for your OSSD in there as well. And those can be found on the DDSB website, but grade 8 teachers should also be able to offer them up soon too, if they haven't already. Is it possible to change our course selection later? Students enrolled in on, oh, that got cut off. So I'll just answer, is it possible to change our course selection later? So we really do encourage all the processing that happens ahead of time before course selection, all the discussions and reflections that go into course selection. So course selection is actually the last thing that we will be doing according to the transition guide and according to Choosing My Success. So really, when there's 6 compulsory courses that you must take, and then the 2 electives, there's not much changes that usually tend to occur. I mean, if there was a major issue, I'm sure we could try to help out as best we can, but we would only have space for what was selected, right? So we want everybody to choose wisely, and make sure that when you do process those course selections, when they are ready to be put through, that we're choosing pretty much what we would be happy with, even if we kind of got stuck with it. I'm not very good at this Q&A. I keep losing my spot. Okay. Okay, so I answered that. Is there a 3rd language in a separate school? Can I get credits for that? Oops. So yeah, we do have students who try to do different language courses in outside of the school, and that is usually fine. We always recommend that you reach out to the guidance counselor ahead of time, and just kind of give a heads up that we'll be taking a language course, so we can kind of have it on our radar, and it's all included in the planning process. So absolutely, yep, you definitely can take courses.
Steph, if you want, I can help you with the chat. Why don't I read out what it is, and then that way you can answer it, just so that you're not trying to scroll and go through that.
That would be great. I keep losing my spot.
I see. It's okay. So I will start where I see Carla kind of typing, but I'll kind of go through. So what are the grade 9 compulsory courses?
Okay, so in grade 9, the compulsory courses, you're going to have your D-streamed math and your D-streamed science. So for sure you have to take those. You'll have geography, French, phys ed, and what am I missing here? Did I say French? I already said French. Math and science, geography, English.
An art and a business, no?
Yeah, that's where I'm stuck too. Math, science, English, French, geography, phys ed.
Yeah, phys ed. Yeah. So you need 6 compulsory. Sorry if I was repeating myself there. I'm really tired tonight. And then you would choose the other 2 courses would be your elective courses. So you have your 6 required, 2 elective. You're actually selecting 3 electives because one of them is going to be an alternate.
Excellent, thank you. Hello, your video focuses heavily on arts and electives. Could you please speak to academic courses and clubs? For example, do you have a math team?
A math team. I don't believe we have a math team. What do we have in math, Ms. Fleming?
We do have a math club, and the math club meets to, there are math contests that are put, like the Waterloo Math Contest and the Pascal. So there is a math club. It's an extracurricular. They can join. There's tons of extracurriculars, and we do advertise them heavily in the Google Classroom. There is something for everyone. And if we don't have something your child is looking for, then chances are there's something another child wants that too. And that's how our clubs form. It's how most of our clubs form, by student interest. So if it doesn't exist, it might soon if your child is interested in it. I have noticed a lot of questions about de-streamed and academic. I think that the safest way to look at de-streamed is look at your child's grade 8 class right now. So there's students working at all different levels and abilities all in one class, and that's the way our grade 9s are going to sort of continue. And it's just putting off that choice. Previous in grade 8, they had to make a choice at 14 years old that was determining a pathway. And that's too young to know what you want to be when you grow up, and it's too young to make those choices. And sometimes, unfortunately, it means that their learning skills, maybe they're not paying attention in class or they're distracted. Those are deciding their future, and they shouldn't. So by putting off those decisions and letting them all come in and learn all together in grade 9, we're putting off that decision a little bit later. And really, there still is fluidity in the pathway, even from 10 to 11 and 11 to 12 when we look at it. But it's just delaying that a little bit so that they can all come in and learn together, and then sort of make a more educated decision about what they want to do in high school once they're already in high school.
Great, thank you. Another sort of line of questioning that I'm seeing a lot is, and I believe it was answered, but we'll just reiterate one more time, the timeline for course selection process.
Okay, I understand that everybody is anxious to pick courses. We're anxious for you to pick courses, and I know that there's a lot of boards around us that are already selecting them. We have not, so I'll start by saying my blueprint is open, and as Ms. Lamoureux said, you can go in, you can pick all your courses. You can go in tonight and select what you want to do. The only thing you can't do yet is submit. So we're just waiting on that. The board will advertise a date for everybody, so it's going to be the same across the board for that selection. It just has not been selected or advertised yet. But you can go in and pick and play, and you can actually create multiple high school plans. You can plan all the way to grade 12 if you want. But we just can't hit submit yet. That's the only part we can't do.
All right. Similar sort of vein, is there a specific link for my blueprint? And somebody else is asking about an activation key.
Right. So my blueprint would be accessible on their Chromebooks. I'm sure they've already played with it in grade 7 or grade 8. So I would say ask your student where to find it, because they have used it before. And we do want this to be a family process. So ask them where to find it. I know they will. If not, you can www.myblueprint.com. And as Ms. Lamoureux said, if you go down to the bottom, it will say school board login, and there's a drop-down menu. You'll select Durham District School Board. That's how you'll start. And then students are using their S3000 at DDSB student login, the same way they get into their computers. That's what they're using to get into my blueprint. It's all one login.
All right, so just to clarify, I know there was someone asking about being able to access via Parent Portal. My blueprint and Parent Portal are two different things. Parent Portal really supports, you would use My Parent Portal to kind of update a student's attendance, for example. So it's not something that you're going to be able to access through that. That's a different sort of set of apps, or, however you want to look at it. They're not the same and they're not linked. Okay. Could you please expand on the DCE registration process? I think that's what the question's asking.
Is that, I'm guessing it's about getting ready for high school and using DCE. So summer school sign up is also through My Blueprint. Summer school sign up has not opened up yet. It's supposed to maybe at the beginning of April, maybe when course selection is there to submit. But in My Blueprint, once they're in, on the left-hand side, it says continuing education. All of the summer school information will be there once it becomes available. So everything is through My Blueprint.
Are those 2 new online credits included in the 13 necessary credits required to graduate?
Yes. So in addition to completing 40 hours of community service, literacy requirement, it's 2 online courses. It should be noted that parents can decide what's best for their child, and if they do not believe it would be beneficial for their child to complete online courses, there will be an opportunity for them to opt out of them. Those online courses could be completed ahead of time in the summer if that's an interest, as well as there are e-learning courses that are generally available during the year. Yeah.
A couple of questions around community service hours. One in particular, the hours may start after June 30th, 2022. Do students have to do community hours this summer? Given that the students will be out of the country during summer, how or when can he or she do the community hours?
So the minute you graduate from grade 8, the minute you're clapped out or whatever the ceremony is, the minute you've graduated, you can start earning those hours. You can earn them out of country as well if an opportunity arose that you could volunteer while you were out of the country, but otherwise they could wait till you come back. There is 40 hours of community involvement that have to be completed throughout the 4 years of high school.
Thank you. And this question, I believe we touched upon, how do locally developed courses differ from the standard D-stream courses? So once again, we just want to stress that D-streamed is actually something that elementary students understand. It's a process you already understand because your courses are already D-streamed. When you're in grade 8, math, for example, there is no math class for students who are functioning sort of in that level 4 vein versus a student who might be struggling, or not able to grasp the concepts as quickly as somebody else. It's one teacher that teaches all levels. When you get to high school, the system is changing to sort of reflect that continuity for students. So a locally developed course is different from a D-streamed course because a D-stream course is going to have all types of learners, where a locally developed course is geared towards one specific type of learner. So the locally developed course follows along in that streaming process, and it's sort of coupled or combined with, you have your academic students who are learning, again, differently than an applied level student, learning differently from a locally developed student, right? Student in a locally developed classroom. So de-streaming is a completely different system. When you are in a de-streamed class, it's one teacher teaching students at various levels using different access points to be able to teach skills. So it's a little bit different, and it's a shift sort of in mindset to be able to understand that. But again, I think, Amanda and Steph have done sort of a comparison for you, just so that on a very basic understanding, you get that it's similar to what your students are already or your children are already doing. Okay.
Yeah, and locally developed, probably most of those choices will be determined in a group setting with the CERT at your school, as well as parents and child. It's for a student that maybe needs to go over concepts a little bit more from grade 8. Maybe the struggle is with integers or fractions, and just maybe it's a setup as something to do before they joined the D-streamed program. And then sometimes students will continue to learn to access locally developed courses through and then go to workplace courses in grade 11 and 12. So it's just another support they could access if they're not ready to jump right into the D-streamed.
One more question.
Folks, I was hoping to jump in. We had some questions with regards to safety around and in the school. And I just wanted to be able to speak to all of them as a one blanket thing. J. Clark Richardson is a very safe school. We take our safety planning very seriously. We are a large high school, so I won't say that we're without issues, but we do as a school staff take pride in the fact that we are supervising all areas of the building as much as we possibly can. We do have a yearly safety plan that is put together by our Safe Schools Committee. Our Safe Schools Committee often will take data from our surveys that we do of our students, parents, and staff and use that to make action plans in order to make the building a safer place for everyone. We do work with the Safe Schools Department at the school board to make sure that we are current in our practices and to make sure that we are providing the best environment for our students to come to school every day and to learn. But it is a community concern when it comes to safety, because of course, when students are in the building, we can supervise, we can provide safe environments, but of course they come and go from the building at the beginning of the day, after school, and at lunchtime. And so out in the community, we need our students to make good choices while they're out there. We need them to be open and honest when things are happening that are not good in the community, that are making things that are not safe. And so it's that communication between our students, our staff, and of course our families that make this a safer place to be. But it is a very safe school, and it is a great place for students to come and learn. Sorry, Ms. Neblick, go ahead. I'm sorry for cutting you off there.
No problem at all. Another question that's kind of connected, Amanda, to my blueprint. What are IPP tasks, and is there any guide on how to use my blueprint for parents?
So both yes, yes, and yes. So if you go into my blueprint, the IPP tasks are actually like listed there. It will say my tasks, and they're listed to complete. The pathway counselor will be working with your student in the class on those items, for sure.
And a question sort of connected, and I've seen it a couple different ways. One is, my child is special needs. Do I have to register him through the blueprint, or would he be registered automatically? Someone else is asking, if the student is in our feeder school, would that child have to register as well?
So anyone who attends any of our family of schools that live in our area, because I know there was another question about a student that has permission to live out of area, to go out of area in that elementary, but they'd still have to apply, just like you would have to apply every year for permission to attend a school that is out of our area. So they would have to complete that. So I guess it depends on the needs of your student. If they are in a small class, our PLP, our SSP classes, those are board determined, and that student would then come to us, and the course selection would be done with our CERT. A student that has an IEP that is doing mainstream courses would still be selecting those courses on my blueprint.
Thank you. In the hospitality course, do the kids have to make veg and non-veg dishes? What if they're not comfortable in making non-vegetarian dishes?
I believe there's a lot of flexibility in the program to make sure that students are comfortable in all their choices. Just like in a class where they were presenting, they wouldn't have to present on a topic they weren't comfortable with. So our teachers do definitely work with the dietary needs of our students and what they're comfortable with in their classes.
I believe the school property is shared with another school. How does it impact the students? Are there inter-school rifts? How are these managed?
I'd be more than happy to answer that question. J. Clark is joined by a common building, is the way they explain it, to Notre Dame, which is also a secondary high school. We are on very different schedules. We don't have any interaction within the building during the school day. We do share the common building in the middle that has our cafeteria and also has an auditorium. That's the only part that's shared. They have a lunch at a certain time. We have a lunch at a separate time. We don't intermingle during the school day. Our school days are also quite different in the times that they come and the times that they leave compared to us. So there's very little interaction between the two schools. So again, I'm not sure what you mean by school rifts. There's friendly competition. I know Notre Dame's volleyball team is here playing our volleyball team today. Fantastic game between the two schools, but they are our neighbors. Same way that you live next door to someone else, we live next door to them.
Thank you. How can you register for the school bus?
Buses are determined based on address and where you live, and all through the Durham District School Board, not school. So there is a Durham transit number you can access on the website, and you can contact them. They'll require your student's student number. There is I believe it's 3.1 kilometers away that students have to live to access board supported transportation, and that's as the bird flies, or whatever that saying is. It's not necessarily like Google Map. It'll tell you it's 3.6 driving. It's point to point distance that they determine it.
And just to jump in as well, Amanda, because it was tied to a out of area question. So I guess there was a need to repeat that, or an ask to repeat that process. But if the out of area is accepted, and there is a process to go through that, transportation is not provided by the school board.
Thank you. I think I'm just scanning. I believe that is everything that's in the Q&A. I know that there are a few questions that are in the group chat, and I know some of it was covered, but I wonder if some people had come in after that was presented. Are the hours changing for next year? And I believe Carla has answered this already in the chat. The board is still determining, still sort of surveying, still trying to figure things out. Tentatively, it is looking like it would be a 9:30 to 3:30 arrangement. Having said that, stay tuned, because anything can sort of change between now and the start of the school year.
Mr. Maharaj, did you want to just maybe speak to the out of area process again?
For sure. I could just remind you about out of area. If you're currently an out of area student in grade 8, you'll be, and you're at one of our feeder schools, that means you're also an out of area student to J. Clark Richardson. You'll have to apply to come to J. Clark. Not a problem. Your grade 8 school should be able to give you an out of area form, application form. Your home school's principal has to sign off on that form, and then it'll go through a process. I believe it's in the next month, where we will sit down and decide which applications will be accepted. Basically, you give your rationale on that form as to why you would attend the school out of area. If you are currently living in the J. Clark area and you want to go out of area to another school, same process. You'll have to approach our school and apply for that out of area status, and then I would take it to a meeting, and then at that meeting the decision will be made as to whether the application will be accepted or not.
We do have a question about cafeteria service, asking, will the cafeteria be open next year?
I can answer that one too. The cafeteria itself is open all the time. I think we're referencing the Chartwell's food that sells in there. I believe Chartwell's will be back next year. I don't have control over that, though. That is a school board contract between Chartwell's company and the school board, and they'll be there as long as it's profitable, is my understanding. If it's not profitable, they can't open because they can't work at a deficit, but they should be there. Now, J. Clark is conveniently located close to a lot of restaurants and fast food places. Kids seem to like those. I will recommend to every parent that asks, tell your child to bring their lunch to school. That is the best way for you to monitor what they're eating, and also it makes sure that they're in the building where it's safe and warm, and they're able to make it to their classes on time.
Thank you. I think that's all of the questions that are in the Q&A.
Yeah, and also I will remind parents, don't ask questions in the chat because they get lost in the chat. So use the Q&A feature if you do have questions. I guess we're kind of at the end of things. I wasn't sure if Ms. Lammer, do you have a final slide, or am I okay to say goodbye to everyone?
You're okay to do the send-off.
All right, well, thank you. I have to make sure with the boss that it's okay. I want to thank all the parents, and if your students with you, for attending tonight. Lots of good questions tonight. I love seeing those. We're going to hang around for a little while longer, answering questions that are in the Q&A. If they have not been answered already. Now you can go into the Q&A and you can read through questions and see the answers that we've posted in there, because a lot of the questions that we're starting to see are ones that have already been answered. But I thank everyone for coming tonight. I know you still have questions, so we're going to hang around for a little while, answer your questions. If you're truly stuck, give us a call. The guidance department, they're happy to answer questions when it comes to option selections and things of that nature, or work through your grade 8 teacher, because they also have a lot of good information and a lot of good ideas on how to help support you and your child. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you all back in September when your students are here, and if we're able to run our regular grade 9 program, we'll have you parents even in the building to get to know you a bit better too. Have a good night, and take care of yourselves.
Quite a few have asked if there's going to be a tour. We will try and figure something out, whether it's virtually. We would love to have them in, and we'll try and figure. It just all depends on how well we can open.
Yeah, that's a big piece.
At the very least.
A lot of our planning is based on health and safety. As of right now, we can't have tours, but we're hopeful that in the spring we'll be able to put something together and get our grade 8s in for at least one visit. Sorry about that.
There's also questions about community hours, and how they can earn them. Volunteering for any nonprofit organization, tutoring, basically anything that somebody wouldn't normally be paid to do. So you're not taking a job that would normally be paid or that you should be paid to do. Would work for community involvement hours. A lot of people will volunteer like at their church, maybe at their old elementary school, but yeah, just anything that wouldn't be normally you would be paid for basically counts. And if there's any question, we always recommend that they reach out to their guidance counselor.
There's a question here just about my Blueprint account. If the student is currently with the Catholic School Board in grade 8, how would the parent gain access, the parent or guardian, and should the individual reach out to?
Essentially, they can't, because it's linked to your school account. Hers is linked to the Catholic school. So we can't, there's no like mimic of that account. So for students that are outside of the DDSB, there will be a paper form to complete course selection once course selection is opened. And once parents have reached that part in the registration process, because at the Catholic Board, you will have to start the process of registering. There's a link on the DDSB website for new registrations, and you'd have to start the process there. And then once we reach the point of the registration where you'd select courses, we will give a paper copy.
Jeff's just answering the last question.
And also, if you're unsure of where your homeschool, what your homeschool would be, on the DDSB website, Find My School or School Locator, you type in your current address and it will tell you what your homeschool would be, which is where you would have to start that out of area process.
All right, I think we've reached the end of our evening. We've run out of questions, and I hope you've all been satisfied with what you've heard tonight. We're hopeful to see your child here in September. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. We're going to be logging off and closing the session now.